to Masters Fantasy presentation of our Dynasty Spotlight series. Today we're going to be doing Jamar Chase, wide receiver, LSU. Before we do, I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Jonathan. I'm one of the commissioners here at Masters Fantasy Leagues. Got two of our draft coordinators with us and college experts. Before we jump into Jamar Chase, just want to take a second. In case you didn't know, MastersFantasyFootballLeagues.com, the premier destination for Dynasty football. We have over 600 leagues and counting. Plan on doing at least 50 more this year. Come be a part of the Masters family. But let's get into Jamar Chase. I've been waiting to do this one all day. Going to start with the first question. How good of a prospect is Jamar Chase? And give me his player comp. Like, what current or past NFL player does he remind you of?
So, I mean, I don't have enough good things to say about Jamar Chase. He's absolutely incredible. I mean, as a prospect, he's about as good as it gets. I don't think he has, like, elite speed like a guy like Henry Ruggs has, or elite size. You know, I think he's about 6'1", 205-ish, something like that, 6 foot maybe. So not, like, elite size or speed, but, I mean, very good speed, and he can do just about anything you want from a receiver, whether it be making high-point catches. After the catch, he's absolutely exceptional. I mean, everything about Jamar Chase, his route running is amazing too. I just love everything about this guy. He's going to be the next star in this league at the receiver position. And I'm really excited to watch where he ends up and what he does, especially since we didn't get to see him this year because he opted out. So I'm excited to see him back on the field. But prospect-wise, and I know this might not be great for people that are fans of Jamar Chase, but he kind of reminds me of like Sammy Watkins. Maybe not as much of the deep threat that Sammy Watkins was in college, but I feel like measurables like size, speed, very similar coming out of college. I feel like route running, just after the catch really too, doing a lot of damage, physical, mean runners once they get the ball in their hands. I kind of like that comparison, even though Sammy Watkins didn't really pan out in the pros like we thought he would coming out of college. I think it makes a lot of sense to compare him to a guy like Sammy Watkins right now.
Yeah, and I was really excited. I was right with you. The build up.
I know.
Sammy Watkins.
I'll bring you back up, right?
Okay.
So I think the Doc's analysis is spot on. Tremendous prospect. Got nothing more or less to add there. I mean, he hit all the points. Love him as a prospect. You know, just think he's for sure he's the real deal, everything you want. So my pro player comp, I think it's a little more exciting than Sammy Watkins. I think he's the perfect combination of two other LSU products, and Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry.
There you go.
I think he's more athletic than Jarvis is, although we're not positive his top end speed. Like coming out of high school, his 40 time wasn't great, but that's all right. I mean, he's developed a long way as a player, so I think he'll run well at the combine. But I mean, like Jarvis, he's tough as nails, can get you anything after the catch. Like both of them, he's a fantastic route runner. And I think he's closer to Odell in terms of athleticism and speed in and out of cuts. Where we know Jarvis is quick in and out of breaks, but Odell's got a little bit different of a level of athleticism. I think Jamar Chase is kind of that perfect mixture, just a guy who can run any route, make any catch, tough as nails after it. Also reminds me a little bit of Anquan Bolden, but I think even like a more athletic Anquan Bolden. Right. So a lot to be excited about. Really interesting to see where he lands. What else we got?
Yeah, that definitely got me a little more excited. And as you were talking, question just popped into my mind. Just want to toss it out there right now. If you had to choose right now, and obviously we don't know where he's playing yet, who would you take, Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase?
Jamar Chase.
Yeah, just as a player, I would take Chase as well. And we've seen Jefferson do great things.
Right. And we saw him on the field together last year,
And it was unfair, really.
Right. Yeah.
But of the two, I mean, Jamar Chase won the Biletnikoff.
Exactly, yeah, right. And that's kind of what I want to remind everyone, because, a lot of us who really just focus on the NFL, like, we hear about Justin Jefferson, blah, blah, blah. Then we see him put up all these fantasy points. Now everybody loves Justin Jefferson. I mean, Jamar Chase was here, and Justin Jefferson was here just a couple of years ago at the same school. So there's no reason to temper your expectations for Jamar Chase when we see the level of success that Justin Jefferson has already had.
Right.
Yeah, that's a great comparison to have. And it actually kind of answers the next question for me, where I would consider drafting him. Going to ask you guys though, possible NFL destinations. Who could draft him, and what do you think would be the best fits for him?
I mean, do you have any off the top of your head, Al?
So I mean, there's really a lot. Like,
Yeah.
who wouldn't want him? Where would he be the best fantasy fit? It's really hard to say. I feel like receivers are a lot harder to project fantasy success on each team than a running back per se. I kind of like Houston a lot, which you brought that up on our last show about ETN, and I purposely didn't say that to ETN because I thought I'm going to save that for my Jamar Chase. Obviously they lose DeAndre Hopkins, who they traded away a year ago. They still have Will Fuller and Brandon Cooks, but we know those guys have had injury and now suspension pass. But I think he could go into Houston, be the number one, have Will Fuller stretching the field on the other side. Deshaun Watson as his quarterback for the next 10 years. I think Houston's a good spot.
Yeah, it's funny too because I had some other destinations in mind, and I thought, you know what, he'd be a really good fit in Houston too. That's one of the ones that came to mind. Deshaun Watson needs that guy back after they lost DeAndre Hopkins. And we talked about Miami too as a place for ETN in the last episode, but Tua kind of needs that weapon too. I like Devontae Parker to an extent, but I don't think he's the kind of player that Jamar Chase is, and it would give Tua just one of the best weapons you could get and give him somebody to lean on going forward as he develops. I think that'd be a really good destination for him as well. But, I mean, like we said, there's a ton. I mean, he's that good. He can plug in and be a great receiver pretty early on, in my opinion, even though we don't see that a whole lot. I mean, I think any destination would be great for him.
Yeah, hard to argue with that. I mean, he's going to be an asset wherever he goes. Two teams that come to mind for me that I really like. I do like the New England Patriots. I mean, obviously, really need a wide receiver down there. There was another one too. I just can't think of it. We're going to move on to draft stock. We're going to be taking a look at upcoming rookie dynasty drafts. Looking for your best and worst case scenario for Jamar Chase. Perhaps if you went to Miami, where would you take him? Maybe a lesser team. Your guys' thoughts on that?
So for me personally, when I evaluate receivers coming out on their rookie draft slide, I don't worry as much about the landing spot as I do running backs. So regardless of, because at the end of the day you just gotta trust the talent and just talent's always gonna win. Opportunities will change, but talent is what you can't just make up, and just can't naturally change that easily. So the ceiling's 1.1, but for me what would drive him to 1.1 is all the running backs we love land in not great destinations. To me, that would put Jamar Chase at 1.1. If all the running backs go to their perfect spots, then maybe he drops back to 1.5. But regardless of where Jamar Chase is playing football, I think he's going to be an excellent receiver for the next decade.
And I think we kind of see it's more like a philosophical question about how you approach the draft, because we've had this talk a few times on the podcast as well on receivers having more longevity in general than running backs. And, I mean, unless he just – because, I mean, we saw it with CeeDee Lamb, too. And we were all big on CeeDee Lamb going into the draft. And him going to Dallas where there were so many other weapons, it was kind of not as big on that just because he ended up there and not one of the other destinations we really liked for him. But, I mean, he's shown that doesn't matter. I mean, talent rules, especially with these receivers. It seems like, I mean, those good receivers are going to have opportunities. Maybe they won't be the number one guy right away, but they're going to produce. So I think wherever Jamar Chase lands, I'm taking him. I wouldn't let him fall out of the top 3. I could see him falling to 5, just like Alex said. That's just the way it is, because a lot of people love to take those running backs early. But I think philosophically, I'm kind of shifting towards that. A guy like Jamar Chase is hard to find. No matter where he ends up, I want him.
Yeah, I agree with you, actually. And, we did speak about it. We actually want to do redo the rookie draft from last year. Mm-hmm. And I do think all those wide receivers are going to be flying to the top of the board. And the other spot I liked for Jamar was Philly, too. Another spot I was thinking about, they could use them. All right, and this next question, I think we all know the answer. Dynasty Football Outlook. In 3 to 5 years, will we still be talking about Jamar Chase?
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think we'll be talking about him more than we are now. Because a lot of times these rookies, they take a year or two. But I think 3 to 5 years, he's going to be, especially with Devontae Adams, some of these guys will be kind of past their prime at that point.
Right.
I think Jamar Chase could be the top dog in 3 to 5 years.
I'm with you, yeah. I think the new crop's coming in, and I think the fact that he isn't playing this year has kind of ruined his hype a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, like Jerry Jeudy,
Yeah.
everybody was talking about
Yeah.
Jerry Jeudy all year. Now, unless you followed college football closely last year, it's, you know, there's a lot of other receivers in this draft, but Jamar Chase is almost forgotten just because he hasn't been able to showcase his talent again this year. So, I mean, yeah, he's going to be around. He is. He's going to be one of the elite receivers in the league in a few years.
And who knows, maybe he'll get a steal on draft day because, you know, he hasn't been on television every day.
So I got a question for you guys while we're on the topic. So in Dynasty, who would you rather have, CeeDee Lamb or Jamar Chase?
Wow. I mean, that's tough because I really love both of them.
Yeah.
I'm going to say no on the destination with CeeDee Lamb paired up with Dak Prescott. I got to lean towards CeeDee Lamb because of that right now.
Until I have the
Yeah.
destination, I agree, but I think a good destination might
Could change
switch.
that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right, good stuff, guys. That's going to wrap up today's Dynasty Spotlight series. We'll be back next week with a couple more players. Thanks so much for watching.